Twins beat the Red Sox in the series finale, salvage a split at Fenway Park behind a great start from Dylan Bundy. Let's break it out on today's episode of Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome to the Locked On Minnesota Twins podcast. Today is Monday, April 18th, and I'm your gracious host, Nash Walker. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. Again, I'm Nash Walker. I've been hosting this podcast for over 2 years. This is my third season. Been writing at Twins Daily for 4 seasons. I'm here every day. I break down all these games, and I'm happy to break down a Twins win today at Fenway Park. For as early as it is, we are 10 games in, officially 10 games in to the 162-game season for the Minnesota Twins. As early as it is, today felt as important as it could be for Game 10 because the Twins came in at 3-5, 3-6. We lost 2 in a row. At 3-6, Buxton's down. He's progressing. Just felt like they needed to get this win today. Felt like they needed to buck the 2-game losing streak, get the offense going a little bit, and come out of here with a win and stay within 2 games of 500. We know what happened last year. When you pile these losses on top of each other, it doesn't matter how early it is because at a certain point you look and you go, we're 8 games below 500, and we have a ton of games to play and a ton of games against teams that aren't as good as us. But it's just a climb. It's a mountain to climb. It taxes the team. It taxes everybody. It taxes Baldelli. It taxes the whole unit to be behind as early as April. And I'm not saying 4-6 is an outstanding start. Don't get me wrong. To start 4-6 is not ideal. I would have loved for them to be 5-5 or 6-4 or 7-3. It would be awesome for them to be in a better spot. But this could have been a lot worse. They could have gone out there today at an 11 a.m. start in Boston, 10-10 Central, and let Rich Hill kind of dice them up. And they were aggressive today in the zone. They took good at-bats. Kyle Garlick, 2-run homer. Jorge Polanco, 2-run homer. They tack on late. Gilberto Celestino is one of the best at-bats of the year in the 8th inning to get Polanco to the plate with the bases loaded. Polo punches a single through the right side. It's just a good win. Dylan Bundy was awesome in this game. And Twins starting pitchers now with the second best ERA in the American League currently as of 2 o'clock. Monday afternoon, the Twins starting pitching staff, has the second best ERA at 2.96 in the American League. Hasn't been the issue. And, right now, if you looked at how the offense has performed overall, today was a good day. Friday was a good day. They scored 16 runs combined in those 2 games. If you look at how the offense, if you show me the line, the slash line of the offense today included for the first 10 games, I would say, oh man, they're 3-7 or 2-8 because they need their offense. And if you were to show me that before the season, they said they need their offense. They still need their offense. They're going through some lumps right now. Carlos Correa yesterday saying, don't worry, it's going to get better. And immediately it gets better the next morning. I'm still confident this offense is going to hit. It's too talented. I don't think it's homer dependent. I think they have a lot of guys who can come through with big hits, who have ability to make contact, ability to hit for a high average, and Gio Urshela and Jorge Polanco and Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa. They have guys who can hit for average. They have guys who can hit for power. They're talented. I think they're going to score enough runs this year. You can look at this a couple different ways. You can say, wow, if Twins pitching keeps this up, or at least in the ballpark, the rotation, and then the offense kicks into gear, this team has a chance to be really good. Or you can look at it and say, Twins pitching is going to regress. We know that. And if the offense doesn't hit, they're not going to be a good team. Comes down to this: performance. It's wins, baby. Just win. For the Twins right now, that's a good win today. Dylan Bundy goes out there, shuts him down for the first 3 innings, lets the Twins take control of this game offensively. And that's been my point all offseason into this year. Twins pitching, give your offense a chance to take control of games. And that's what Dylan Bundy did. That's what basically the entire staff has done in these first 10 games. We haven't really seen a blow-up start. Chris Paddock had a rough first inning but bounced back. We haven't seen a blow-up start from a Twins starter. And that's, part of why they've been able to win 4 out of their first 10 games, even though they only are 4-6. It could have been a lot worse than it is right now. To repeat myself, It doesn't mean it's automatically going to get better. They still need to hit. They need to go to Kansas City where it's going to be cold and rainy again. It's not going to let up. They have to go to Minnesota this weekend. It's 35 degrees today in Minneapolis. The weather's not going to let up. You have to find a way to win those games. And most importantly, you have to find a way to win teams that are inferior to you. If the Twins are a legitimately good team this year, they will go into Kansas City. They will take 2 out of 3 from the Royals, and they'll get back to one game within 500. And then they'll have the White Sox at home and have a chance in that series as well. We know that's going to be a difficult series for Twins pitching. If they are legitimate, they will go into Kansas City and carry this over and take good at-bats like they did today and pitch well like they have the first 10 games. I'm hopeful that they'll do that. And I'm excited that they won today because, again, this could have snowballed into a 3-7 start. You lose the first game of the Kansas City series, it's 3-8, and you're like, oh man, we've dug a pit. For right now, they've avoided that. They're 4-6. It's not where you want to be, but it's better than where they could have been at this point through that 10-game stretch. 4 against the Mariners, team that won 90 games last year. You had 2 against the best team in the world. I don't think there's anyone even close to the Dodgers for best team in the world. And then you had 4 against Boston at Fenway, marathon weekend. They're hoping opening series to get a split there. I said it was a B outcome. It's a good outcome for them. Maybe you're an A student and you hold them to a high standard. You think they should have gotten 3 out of 4 after winning game 1? I'd hear you out on that. I'd rather they be 5-5. I think they had chances to be 5-5. Not just the Boston series, but the Seattle series, the first game of the Dodgers series, had chances to win those games. And moving forward, they're going to have to win those games. Let's talk about Yohan Duran, Jorge Polanco, Griffin Jax, and more after this word from BetOnline. BetOnline is the best. BetOnline is the #1 source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all of the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline is where the game starts. Again, it's your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to the playoffs, esports, and more. Go bet the Wolves at betonline.net. Howl, baby, howl. The Timberwolves game 2, I believe, is Saturday. Make sure you get your bets in, betonline.net. And bet the Twins. Let's make some parlays. Go to betonline.net. It is where the game starts. Locked On MLB Now. Thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen. For your next listen, check them out. The Locked On Now podcast. It's recaps of MLB games from analysis. Our local experts. We're taking fans through the season like no other. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Yohan Duran pitches today in relief. I like the spot for him. I definitely like the spot for him in the 7th inning. Twins up 4-1. Gives up a homer to Christian Vasquez. Kind of scooped it out. Golf shot. I think after Duran's first couple outings, I had said on the show, got to throw more fastballs. Got to throw fastballs for strikes. And the Red Sox today were definitely sitting fastball. They were sitting on the fastball. Duran was having trouble throwing breaking balls for strikes, but then he did to Hernandez, bounce back in a good way. It's not a stuff problem. It's not really a location problem. He did struggle a little bit locating today, but it's more of a pitch sequence problem for Yohan Duran in the last 2 outings. I think he's still figuring it out. He was a starter his whole life. He's geared up to be a starter, throwing all 3-4 of his pitches. And he just needs to learn as a reliever what works best in certain matchups, what hitters are trying to do against him, especially a second time in a series. They'd already seen Duran in this series, so they know what he has, and they know what the fastball looks like. It's important for him to learn, and it's important for him to be put in those spots, and I'm glad Rocco gave him that opportunity to work through it there in the 7th inning. Doesn't get sent out for the 8th. Griffin Jax closes this thing out. Luckily, the Twins were able to tack on in a big way in the 8th inning. Gilberto Celestino, man, this was the at-bat of the game. Takes a slider on the black. It was a ball for ball 4 after fouling off tough pitches. A dude that was throwing 96 with a cutter was his last name, with a nasty cutter. And Gilberto Celestino just had a great at-bat. Fresh off the bench, just has a great at-bat. Off the bench, I'm sorry, he started this game. I'm thinking of him coming over from St. Paul, and this is his first series. Just a great at-bat for Celestino. Griffin Jax mentioned those 2 innings. I still think Jax needs to find a way to get up to 95, 96 consistently. command a little bit of an issue today, but I'm hopeful that he can become a good reliever, especially against right-handed hitters. We saw got some whiffs on the slider. It's nasty. 86 with the slider, 94 fastball. High spin slider, high spin stuff. I think Jax can be a good middle innings to potentially later innings for higher upside option for the Twins in the future. Twins outfield. It's funny how this can kind of, I don't want to say fall apart because Garlick had a good game. I thought Celestino had a good at bat. Max Kepler's taking some good at bats, got screwed there on ball 4. I don't think it's fallen apart, but it's funny to see how it can quickly kind of change. When Byron Buxton's not in center, the whole outlook changes. And the reports on Buxton are that he's going to be back soon, maybe even potentially in Kansas City. No roster move for him. Very optimistic, at least hopefully back for that White Sox series at Target Field this weekend. They will need him as soon as possible. The team's just not the same without him. We know that. The team hasn't been the same without him in the last 3 years. And I think that's maybe especially true this year because you have Correa, you need Buxton, lineup protection. I know sometimes we talk about that in a way that, we kind of emphasize it. It's not always the case. And it's been proven that lineup protection is not always, doesn't always happen. It's not always a true phenomenon. To have Buxton and Correa is just a completely different scenario for a pitcher than having just Correa in that lineup. It makes everybody better. It makes the lineup deeper. It makes the defense borderline elite, I would say. On paper, they haven't played at an elite level. I thought they played really good defense today. But when Buxton's in center, the defense is borderline elite. With Correa and Buxton up the middle, you got Polanco, who's a plus defender at second. I know Sano's had his struggles at first. You got Urshela at third. Max Kepler is one of the best right fielders in the league defensively. Becomes a good unit. Ryan Jeffers behind the plate. Solid catcher. Gary Sanchez, early returns on him as a catcher have been pretty good for the Twins. And is early. It's 10 games, and we usually see that come back down toward the mean. But Buxton just changes the whole outlook, and we know that. And that's why they need him back as soon as possible. Good to get a win here. Good to get a split here without Buxton. He had a double in that first inning, and that run came around to score, I believe, of the first game of this series. But they didn't have Byron Buxton. They still split this series. That's a good thing. Let's talk more about that. I want to talk about Jorge Polanco, what he brings to this team after this word from Built Bar. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. Plus, they've now added the Puffs. If you haven't tried the Puffs, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy, they're not just a protein bar, they're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. I don't know how Built Bar does it, but every single time they come through with an amazing combination of taste, of health. You can go to built.com right now, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Jorge Polanco. Jorge Polanco, the Twins MVP in 2021 by a mile. While Byron Buxton was great in 61 games, it was 61 games, and to me, it wasn't really close for Twins MVP last year. Jorge Polanco was that dude all year. 33 homers, outstanding at the plate, solid at second base, extremely clutch all year long, came through with big-time hits. I think he had back-to-back-to-back walk-off hits for the Twins at a certain point. Might be missing a game even. I remember it, but I can't remember quite the order. I believe that was in the same stretch the Twins had won like 3 or 4 series in a row against playoff teams, and that was one of their best stretches, probably their best stretch of last year. It's not saying much. That team was terrible. Jorge Polanco was not. Jorge Polanco was awesome last year, and I know has gotten off to a slow start along with the rest of this offense, but he's so important, and I don't know if it might be asinine to say, with Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa in this lineup, is there a player you want more up there right now with the bases loaded and 2 outs needing a run than Jorge Polanco? Like, it's guaranteed he's going to give you a good at-bat. And I think that's where some of the upside lives in this offense. You could pick 4 guys there. Luis Arraez, I would say, yeah. Carlos Correa, the best player, probably. Byron Buxton, the most dangerous hitter. Jorge Polanco, always a good at-bat. Really good hitter from both sides of the plate. Pick a lot of guys in that spot, right? And I think that's why there's some upside in this lineup, certainly for the Twins. But Jorge Polanco is such an important part of this team. And I think people forget, you look at counting stats, Jorge Polanco leads the Twins in like every counting stat since he made his debut. And especially in the last couple of years. And Nelson Cruz was amazing for them. But the pre-Nelson Cruz Twins to the now Twins, Jorge Polanco, he's out there every single day. He was down in 2020 with the ankle. It was a short and weird season, but outside of that, man, you look at his complete seasons, he's just a really good ball player. He's an underrated ball player. Now that he's moved to second, there's not many flaws in his game. And Matthew Trueblood pointed this out. Like, not a great runner, but Ozzie Albies and Jorge Polanco are extremely comparable as players. And you always hear about Ozzie Albies. You never hear about Jorge Polanco outside of the Minneapolis market. And I understand that, Byron Buxton gets a lot of attention, I think, league-wide. Carlos Correa, of course, is going to get a lot of attention league-wide. Jorge Polanco is quietly an outstanding player and quietly a player who does all of the things right. He doesn't strike out. He'll draw walks. He's a switch hitter. He's a plus defender at second. He hits for power. He hits for average. He gets on base. He's like, what are you looking for from Jorge Polanco that he doesn't do? Awesome player. Awesome day today. Jorge Polanco was maybe the reason the Twins offense last year wasn't like straight up putrid. I think he saved them from being really, really bad. They did have some good performances. Sano in the second half, Donaldson was pretty good all year, but Jorge Polanco was far and away, their guy last year. When Buxton got hurt, it was Polo. It was Polo as their leader, Polo in the heart of that lineup. Cruz gets traded. I remember saying last year, I thought Donaldson was going to take over as like the leader, so-called, of last year's team. I think it ended up being Polo, and I think he is a guy everybody looks at and expects, what he does every day to be awesome. Jorge Polanco has been great for the Twins, especially the last 2 years. Starts in the All-Star game in 2019, fell off a little bit in that second half, and then again in 2020. But overall, Polo, great game, great player. Really, really like him. Twins go to Kansas City now for 3. Chris Archer, Chris Paddock, and Joe Ryan on the slate for the Twins. Going to face Carlos Hernandez, Daniel Lynch, and Zach Greinke in that order. Keep an eye on the forecast. Keep an eye on the postponement wire. There's rain coming in Kansas City. Looks like they're going to be able to play Tuesday, but maybe not Wednesday and Thursday. Enjoy this series. Again, the Twins will show you. I don't have to tell you. The Twins will show you who they are on a series-to-series basis. How they bounce back, how they respond. They responded in a really nice way today. They responded in a way that you would expect from a team that is trying to contend, a team that's trying to compete in every single series. They will show you, not only in April, they'll show you in May, they'll show you in June, July, and August. But right now, all we got is tomorrow. And it's just looking forward to the next day. Hopeful that the Twins can go into Kansas City, take 2 out of 3. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Locked On Twins. Thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan, please call him Sully, brings you his unique perspective on the major leagues past and present. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Thank you again for listening. Have a great day and go Twins.